Kelly Davis, your host of the Untold Miracles podcast, and today I am so excited. I have a very special guest. He is an entrepreneur, a self-made billionaire, co-founder of John Paul Mitchell Systems and the Patrol Spirits Company. He is a father, and he's a philanthropist making a deep impact on humanity and the planet. He truly has a heart of gold. Mr. John Paul DeJoria, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here with you and your fabulous group and the work you do.
John, Children's Miracle Network Hospitals has been on the receiving end of your philanthropy. Each year we treat 10 million kids at 170 children's hospitals across the country. Paul Mitchell students have raised over $2 million for these kids. Thank you so much for what you do with your company and how you truly make the world a better place.
You're welcome.
On this podcast, we talk about miracles, and I just watched your movie, The Good Fortune, a story of a guy who did well and then did good, and there were a lot of miracles in your life, and I want to start with your childhood. You grew up in a poor neighborhood in East LA, in Echo Park. Your mom wasn't able to support you, so during the week, you spent some time in foster care, but I would love for you to share the miracle that your mom taught you about giving back at a very young age.
Oh, you bet. And it was just a wonderful miracle, and I can tell you how it blossoms today. I was about 6 years old, Christmas time. We're in downtown Los Angeles, walking by the big store windows, seeing all the little toys, little trains maybe in the street going around in circles, giving kids little free rides on them, and it was just wonderful at Christmas time. And my mom gave my brother and I a dime and said, boys, hold half of this each and walk over and put it in that bucket, that red bucket that the man is ringing the red bell with. Okay, so we went over, we put it in, and then we asked, Mom, why do we give that person a dime? In those days, that was like 2 soda pops or 3 candy bars. And Mom said, boys, that's the Salvation Army. They take care of people who don't have any home or any food. And we can't afford a lot, but we want to give something, so we can only afford a dime this year, but at least we're giving something. And remember, boys, there's always somebody that needs something more than you, and give as much as you can, even just a little bit or of your time. And it stuck with me. In fact, here this next week, I'm going down to Rio de Janeiro, and besides Paul Mitchell business I'm going to be doing down there with hairdressers and a beauty show, I'm also going to be addressing the Brazilian wing of the Salvation Army. They're all over the world. Wow. And I'm going to be training hundreds, maybe even thousands of young people down there, or even adults, how to start a business with little to no money, similar to what I did with Paul Mitchell. And the miracle of the thing was that little dime now has me in foreign countries talking to thousands of people, as well as here in the United States. I know at Christmas time, I spent some time ringing the bell as a soldier for the Salvation Army, raising some money. And when people want to come over and take a picture with me, I'd say, I'll take all the pictures you want, but you got to make some kind of a contribution. Anything, just contribute to the Salvation Army. That worked out pretty good.
And what I love about what your mom taught you is that you don't have to have a lot of money to make a big difference in the world. Like 2 dimes put together and other people's dimes can make a huge impact. And that's just what really impacted me when I heard that story. I feel like another miracle in your life happened when you got married very young in 1966 and you found yourself homeless at age 22 because your wife decided to leave you with a young son and you were homeless. How did you deal with that situation, and what miracles got you from being homeless the first time in your life?
Well, the miracle was she took the car with little money we had and hadn't paid the bills in 3 months. So there we are, flat out. One of the miracles was I remember her mother had this car that she could not drive. It was just sitting there that someone had given her years before because it had a broken water pump. So, I needed a car. So I called the mom. She said, of course you can take the car. Are you kidding? Just sitting here forever. No one drives. It was a 1951 Cadillac with a broken hood. Water would run out every 4 hours. So I had to keep on refilling it. But I had a car. And it turned out 2 days later, it was a house, a car and a house both. And that was a miracle. All of a sudden, that popped up. Because out of nowhere, to get a car, it's not that easy. We have no money. And my pride was too much. I wouldn't ask my own mother. I would say, Mom, my son and I are moving in with you. We're moving back into my old room. It's available. Take care of us. I was just too prideful. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it on my own.
Well, I would love for you to share the story of your friend who was incredibly generous and actually offered you guys a place to stay.
That's correct. My buddy Lee Myers, which was just wonderful.
You actually found yourself homeless a second time in your life. You had just met Paul Mitchell and you were starting a company with $700 cash. He had borrowed $350, you'd borrowed $350, and your backer pulls out for $500,000, and you find yourself once again homeless.
I'd known Paul for several years. We wanted to start our own business. We needed $500,000, period. Well, the backer pulled out in 1980 because inflation in the United States was 12.5%, unemployment 10.5%, interest rates, if you could get a loan, were 17%, and no one would want to loan you any money.
Wow.
And you waited in line for gasoline. But the backer pulled out the last minute. I left, and I had a good job. I left everything I was doing, including my relationship at the time, which wasn't working out, and went down there to get some money. There was no money. Once again, I was too proud to say, "Hey, Mom, I'm moving back in." So I worked it out. I had a car at that time and a few $100 in my pocket, and we started. And the wonderful thing was this. We were giving 40% ownership of the company to the money, 30% each for Mr. Mitchell and I. We ended up with taking on no partners. We just owned the company outright ourselves, and we made it. It was a struggle. It was difficult, and I lived in my car for a couple of weeks, but we did it. We were able to do it and make it. And the great miracle is if you just let the universe take over, there's a lot of good things that will come your way no matter how bad it seems. Another good example of a miracle, and people have to know this in life, I was fired by 3 companies, and I did well at all 3 companies. Reckitt fired me because I complained about them testing on animals, and they did not like that for upper management to tell them that they should be testing on animals for hair care products because it wasn't right. But if it wasn't for all 3 companies, here's a miracle. I could have never started John Paul Mitchell Systems with $700, let alone $500,000, because each company had taught me something different. So it's almost like the miracle of the universe said, you don't belong here, go to this. You don't belong here, go to this. And now go do it on your own. Sometimes things that are really, really bad that happen to us lead to something good in the future. In the end, everything will be okay. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
I love that. Well, were there any miracles involved with you meeting Paul Mitchell? How did that happen?
Paul Mitchell and I met back in 1971-72. We met at a beauty show at the Fontainebleau Hotel. It actually was a convention for the Beauty and Barber Institute. We were at the Fontainebleau Hotel. We had a mutual friend named Eva Prang, and she introduced us to one another, and we just became really good buddies.
In that moment, did you have any idea that this man might be your business partner and your best friend?
Absolutely not. No. Nor did he. No way. We had no idea.
You ended up buying 10,000 bottles of product, and you had 30 days to pay the bill on this product, and you went door to door. Tell me about those 30 days, and were you actually to get all the money back to pay that bill?
From the day I pulled the trigger, it was 2 weeks before we actually had product we could sell. You had to buy from the bottling company, you had to silk screen, and then they fill it. So within 2 weeks, the very first bill was due, which was for the bottles. Well, did we pay it on time? No. But I was knocking door to door selling as much product as I can, and I think we paid that first bill maybe 4 or 5 days late, but at least we got it paid. And it was a struggle like that for almost 2 years. It took us 2 years to actually pay every bill on time. Not pay enough and pay them on time. And then we knew we made it. We could pay the bills on time. We thought, oh boy, we finally made it. We could pay the bills on time.
From the very beginning of your company, was your philosophy always giving back?
It was, even though there was no money to give back at that time. You know, like we would go, for example, my son and I, up to Griffith Park at Christmas time and during Thanksgiving, and we would just stand in line and help feed people. They called it a feed-in at that time, and people would donate turkeys, pumpkin pies, whatever you can imagine, they would donate, and we just donated our time. Was the thing to do. We didn't have any money. We donated our time to help serve the people. It worked. Which
is really significant because when you were homeless, you were showering in Griffith Park, and for you to be able to go back and serve that community is amazing. I want to know if there were any miracles involved when you had the idea to ask your friend Martin to pick you up a bottle of tequila on a trip to Mexico.
Well, the miracles they happen every day, or things happen around us where the universe just sends us in a great direction. It's like, well, this is a miracle that I helped Martin out in the in the architectural business, and we went down there, and he went down there, and some tequila came back. These are all miracles. These are things that are meant to be. And I might say this, the miracles are what happens because we are humans, and the universe works with us, especially if we're good people. Some wonderful things start happening with us if we just let our lives know that eventually everything's going to be okay. And miracles happen almost almost every day, my gosh, walking down the street, not getting run over. What a miracle with all the traffic out there, my goodness.
Just from watching your documentary, which I really encourage every listener to watch because it truly is so incredible, the amount of good that you've been able to do with your good fortune. But what has been the biggest miracle that's happened in your life?
Well, actually, that's it. No, the biggest miracle, single miracle that's ever happened was being able to start, I think, Paul Mitchell with $700 and become, I think we're the largest privately held professional hair care company in the world, I believe. And then a lot of things before that ended up contributing to it. Like in my 20s, I sold encyclopedias door to door. I knew how to not give up and how to be as enthusiastic on door number 50. One of all 50 were slammed in your face prior. As you learn these things. So I think the miracle was, in my life, I learned various things. All of a sudden, one day, it happened. It came together. Paul Mitchell's a great example of this. All this miracle of wanting to do something nice, and out of that came even more philanthropy, wanting to help change the world. So a lot of good things came out of it, where it turned out to be a great business. I could help more people. I'm happier. More people are happier. And I made a mark to make the world a better place to live because I'm here. Good things happen to me.
I love looking at the miracles that you've created, and one that I really admire is the homeless people in Austin, Texas. You were able to take people who were living under a bridge and give homes for 250 people.
Here, yeah, definitely. That's definitely a wonderful thing because all these things happening, we're able to contribute to it and having a giving heart. It was easy to start contributing money to Mobile Loaves and Fishes and start building houses with them and then maybe an auditorium with them. And little by little, this just grew and grew and grew. And as soon as we're done with the 250 homes, we have some land next door that we could maybe build 500 homes on. That knocks out, I think, the majority of the unemployed, I should say, the homeless, unsheltered people in all of Austin, the whole greater area here of Central Texas. I think it takes care of them all.
JP, what's been one of the biggest challenges of your life, and how did you get through it?
One of the biggest challenges of my life would be when I start making money, people coming across with what I call frivolous lawsuits. Well, they will be 20 people on a board, but they'll pick you out because you've got the money, and they'll sue you. And then when you go to court, the attorneys say, well, he's a billionaire. He's got all this money. And then and people are swayed by that. So I've had a couple of frivolous lawsuits, but because I had the money, they went after me and not somebody else. And that's very disappointing that people in life will do this. I call them bottom feeders, but they do it.
What would you say to someone who's really struggling right now? They may be homeless, their investor may have pulled out, they may have lost a dear loved one. I know you lost Paul Mitchell and you lost your brother Robert. What advice would you give to them?
Go borrow $4.50 and go rent good fortune. That shows you being fired by many things, being homeless. Go rent good fortune. I think it's only $4. I think something like that you can rent it or buy it for $9. Invest that money. It tells you right there. One of my main motivations for doing the documentary, the movie, Good Fortune, the movie, was to let people know you can still do it. America still works. The world still works. You just have to believe in yourself and be prepared for two things. One, be prepared for a lot of rejection. If you're prepared for it, it's not going to hurt you as much, and you're not going to give up. The second thing would be, whatever your service or your product is, make sure it's the very best. You don't want to be in the selling business. You want to be in the reorder business. If you go to work for somebody, you don't want to be always selling yourself and how good you are. The job will speak for itself on the quality of what you do with the job you have.
And I also love a quote that you have, which is success unshared is failure. And I feel like that's why you put the video out, is because you really want people to know what they can do in their lives to give them hope, to have them create their own miracles.
Even when you don't have money.
Yeah, and it's really easy, listeners. Just go to Amazon. I did that yesterday, and I paid, I think, $4.99, and I was able to watch this movie. And it's great. I was so impacted, but I want to share a story from that really touched me. And it was really awesome to have all of your children on the podcast because they love you so much, and you have such deep love for them, and they're making a deep impact in the world. But your daughter shared a story of you going into a restaurant, and you saw a young lady with a child, and you just decided that you wanted to pay for their meal, and you didn't want anyone to know, and you didn't want any credit. And the woman got up and she stood up. I'm sorry, I'm crying. She stood up and she said, thank you to everyone who did this. And that just shows your character, because you're not trying to get credit. You truly just want to make an impact, and it starts with the one individual.
The greatest high you'll ever give is to do something for somebody else and ask absolutely nothing in return, not even a thank you.
She might have went and helped someone else because of what you did, and then it creates this ripple effect of miracles, and it's truly incredible. But before we close out, I just have a couple of questions for you. You say that you can do well for you by doing good for other people.
Right.
And that's truly what you teach at your company. I want to know 3 miracles that you would create in the world today.
If I could, sure as all heck. The first miracle would be total freedom of religion in the world. In other words, we don't have that. If you could take the wars out of religion and the hate out of religion for others' religions, if you take that hate out of there, there'd be no wars, there'd be no problems in the world right now. But a lot of them are because there's not true freedom. People don't respect one another's religion, sometimes and many times kill each other or have wars because of it. That's sick. I would want to eliminate that. Another one would be the miracle in life of letting the world know, here, let us help feed you good, nutritious food so that your medical care is going to be taken care of with good food. You could change medicine in this world opposed to junk food, which makes you unhealthy. Then you've got, of course, do a lot of other things in life, and that's not a good thing. Another thing I think freedom people should have is the freedom to realize that you are a person that is special. You are a person that is a creation of a miracle, that your miracle of life is being here. There was an old saying I remember from grammar school I never forgot, and that is that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Well, of course you're king. You can see with one eye, no one else could see. So in life, if you're born with, one eye, and you can see something, there's someone that can't see. In other words, just the miracle of life, the miracle that we could walk around, we could eat, we could talk, we could communicate, we could see things. These are the miracles of life that everyone realizes that no matter how bad things are, the miracle of life is you're alive, you're here, you could eat, you could sleep. And those that don't have a place to eat or a place to sleep, my gosh, there's a lot of people, not just myself, but a lot of people like me that are making changes. Alan Graham, who started Bobolos and Fishes, he's a true hero. Yes, I may have gone out there to help him build a house. I may have gone out there to create a garden. I may go out there and talk to the people. But the fact that someone's there every day doing it, these are all these miracles that are happening for everybody. When Marie Osmond had told me all about Children's Miracle Network and got us involved with it as one of our charities, all of our students at our Paul Mitchell schools all contribute to, all 16,000 students at our 115 Paul Mitchell schools nationwide contribute to that. The miracle was she got a hold of us, told us what it was all about, even though she was a friend, told us, and we found out about it, and we got excited, we pitched in, and now Children's Miracle Network, through all these children that don't have any money, my goodness, their families don't have any money, can get proper medical care. And the miracle is of life that many of us are able to be in a position to do that. There's people like you out there that spread the word. It's people helping people out, and this is part of the miracle of what we're doing collectively.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those miracles, and I want to thank you so much for your time today. I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the Paul Mitchell Fundraising Gala.
Well, I thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here with you and your fabulous group and the work you do.
May is for Miracles at Costco. Donate at the register to help support sick and injured kids in your local Children's Miracle Network hospital. Your donation helps fund critical treatments and healthcare services, pediatric medical equipment, and charitable care for 10 million kids every year.